We're done creating our UI for our wallet in our previous lecture. Let's say we created an account on a site for sending cryptocurrency. After logging into the site, the very first step when sending cryptocurrency is to enter your public key, private key, and your own blockchain address. That's the very first step. Right after logging in, we want to see a page like this with an area for entering public key, private key, and blockchain address. And this is what we're going to be creating from now. This time, we have our browser and our server 00008080. We're going to pull our public key, private key, and blockchain address information from here and have it show up on our browser here. In real life, there are cases where you don't go through a server and instead complete the steps all through JavaScript. But if we do it that way, our lecture will basically be about JavaScript and not Go. So in this lecture, we'll use our 0008080 and our Go backend and process our client. This might be hard to understand just by my explanation, so let's actually write the code. We have our browser, and from our browser, we want to use jQuery to pull up our public key, private key, and blockchain address. From our web server, we want to implement our API. So to do this, first, we're going to go to our project, then go to wallet server folder, then our wallet_server.go. We'll access this, and then below our index, let's add on another API. We'll write wallet server, and we want to create a wallet for some person. So we'll write a code so that the wallet information is returned for this API. Here, we'll write response writer, then rec HTTP request. First, we'll write switch, and this is rec method. Then we have case. This time, we're generating our wallet from our client side. So in this case, it's not get, but we'll be using method post. And in this post, our header will be add, then content type. After creating this, we want it to return using JSON, so we'll write application JSON. Next, we'll write my wallet, then wallet, new wallet, followed by my wallet, then Marshall JSON. We haven't run our Marshall JSON yet, so we'll be going to our project, then our wallet. And as you see, inside wallet, we have our wallet.go, and we're going to access that. We see our wallet struct here, and what we're going to do is return this to our client side. To do this, we want to run our Marshall JSON. This can be placed anywhere, and I'm going to use this section below our blockchain address section. We're going to do func wwallet Marshall JSON byte then error. Then return JSON Marshall. We're going to create our struct followed by private key string JSON private key. I'm going to copy this line and replace this with public key, and same here. Then go to the last line and replace our private key with blockchain address, and same here. All we have left to do now is to write private key, then w private key str. Same with the next line. We're going to write public key, and for this, it's going to be public key str. Then our last line is blockchain address followed by blockchain address. With this, we've completed writing our Marshall JSON for wallet. So let's go back to our wallet_server.go. Now we see that our error has disappeared. What we have to do now is to write io write string, then include w string m. And as for our default case, we'll write write header. If something other than create is trying to access this API, we'll want to return status bad request 400. And next, we'll write log print ln, and let's write error invalid HTTP method. With this, when an error does occur, we can return an error message like so. And now we need to register this under handle func. For this, we'll write handle func/wallet. When this is accessed, then we'll create an API as WS-Wallet. Now, if you recall, inside our wallet templates, we created index.html. From now, we want to refer to this to write the section where we access the API from the backend. We'll write script here, and from here we want to run our program using jQuery. I'm going to pull up the jQuery page, and if you're unfamiliar with jQuery, please refer to this API document. Instead of me going into detail about this, I think it would be easier to understand if I actually wrote the code and explained. But one key characteristic of this is the use of $mark, then specify the ID, then HTML. And for example here, we're telling it to include next step in HTML. This $mark is often used. And also $.ajax is also used. When we use this, we use JavaScript to refer to the URL, our data, and then receive our result, which can then be displayed on our own page. We won't be doing any difficult tasks with jQuery, so I'm going to introduce the concepts while writing the code. First, we'll write the $symbol followed by function. We'll include parentheses, then inside here, we'll continue with our command. We'll write what we want the program to do when we first load the page. For example, when we refresh this page, this function is called. At this time, we want to send a request to our backend using Ajax. Here, we'll write URL and then our wallet, which we just wrote since we want to access this. For our type, we'll want to access with post and not get. When our request results in a success, we want to write function, then response. JSON format was used, so we'll write response. Then response, then let's write public key. When we pull this out, then we can access the public key from our backend. To this, we'll add our $symbol, followed by sharp public key. Inside this value, we'll include this public key. For this public key, we can specify the ID. And about this public key, in this text area below, we can include our public key, which means that inside this public key, we can display our public key, which we accessed from our backend. We'll copy this line and paste it. And just like before, we'll replace the words. Let's replace public with private. And then for our third line, let's replace this public key with blockchain address. And same here. Now that we've gotten this far, when we do encounter an error, we can use function, then error. For an error, we can write console, error, making it possible to display our error. And when we don't have an error, we want to display that to make it visually easy to understand. So we'll include console info, then response. We want to display our response. And regarding our console right now, I'm using Chrome on the right-hand side. I'll click on the right-hand side and access my settings. Let's go to More Tools and then Developer Tools. When you click on this, you'll see something like this, where you can work on debugging. When you access this console tab, you'll see that when you access the page, console info is called on and a log is written, making it easier to debug. From now, let's restart our wallet server and actually access this. When you restart your wallet server and reload the page, you should see your public key, private key, and blockchain address information displayed. Underneath our console, we see the information returned to us with our response. And now back to our scenario. Let's say person A signs up and logs in. The wallet information that person A will see first will be displayed like so. Now let's move on to our next lecture.